today you're going to be reading a Common Lit article. Um, and I'm sharing my screen with you so that you can see the article without having to pull up on Common Lit, but you're free to do that as well. So for today, I assigned a poem and it's called I Too by Langston Hughes. Now, I think in order to fully understand this, this is one of the pieces that we'll read that I really think that it's important to hone in on the author and who he is or was since he's passed away. Um, in order to better understand what he was trying to get across in not only this piece, but with everything that he wrote. So Langston Hughes, who lived from 1902 to 1967, was an American poet, novelist, playwright, and social activist. Langston Hughes was also a leading figure in the Harlem Renaissance, which was a social and political movement of Black artists in Harlem, New York. In this poem, a speaker comments on the discrimination he faces. As you read, take notes on the speaker's thoughts about the future. So let's start by looking at the picture that is there with the poem itself. It's untitled, um, and it says it's untitled by State Archives of North Carolina, is in the public domain. So we obviously see a few African Americans, and they appear to be sitting at a lunch counter, um, reading or doing whatever it is each of them is doing. Okay, so let's take a look at the poem. I think paying close attention to punctuation when you're reading poetry is even more important. Well, maybe not more important, but it's just as important as the words themselves. So, poetry, because there are fewer words used, you have to make sure you're saying them the right way. You're understanding each word that's being used, and you're following the punctuation as far as like the pauses and things like that. I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I, too, am America. So after hearing that, you might have to read through it a few times. And I think with poetry, because obviously it tends to be shorter, reading through it a few times is fine. Maybe have someone else read it to you. Look up readings of it on the internet, and maybe people will read it with different not pronunciation, but enunciation on certain things that will make it come alive more for you than my reading did. I think if you can picture someone living when Langston Hughes lived, 1902 to 1967, if you can picture an African American reading this poem, an African American who lived in the early 1900s, I think that the meaning will become a little more clear to you. Okay, let's go on down then to the questions that you're going to be asked to answer. For today, there is a short answer, as you can see there, number 5, but I did not assign that to you in Common Lit. So you're just answering the 4 multiple choice questions, which the first 2 deal with something we've been dealing with, and that's theme. Remember, the theme is the message that the author, the poet here, wants to get across with his poem. So which of those options do you feel like you could walk away learning, that lesson and apply it to your own life, basically? So let's see. A says it's important to remain hopeful even in the face of adversity. That one kind of makes sense, right? I mean, is this speaker in this poem facing adversity? I mean, he's certainly facing, not being treated equally, having to be forced to sit in the kitchen and eat when company comes. B, social change and progress takes place more quickly than you realize. Was this poem more about changes happening quickly? So think about that. C, people often don't realize the depth of their own prejudice. We could, if we looked enough or deep enough into this poem, maybe connect that. But I think with the few words that are used in this poem, we're not focusing on people and their prejudice. We're focusing on more on the effect that it has on those victims of discrimination. Or is it D? The color of your skin doesn't determine whether or not you're American. Let's go back up. I too sing America. That's the same line is used to start the poem and end the poem. So there has to be some importance there, right? Think about maybe how those two things could be related or how they could contribute to the main idea. Then, once you've figured out the main idea, you go on to number 2, part B. Which detail from the text best supports the answer to part A? I too sing America. I am the darker brother. They send me to the kitchen to eat in the kitchen when company comes. Tomorrow, I'll be at that table. Or D, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. So typically in questions like this, there's usually, no matter if for number 1, whatever you choose, there's one that kind of goes along with that for number 2. So it's just going to depend on what you chose up above. So for instance, if you chose A, it's important to remain hopeful even in the face of adversity. Maybe you, for that one, you would choose C, right? Tomorrow I'll be at the table. Or actually that one would probably go with B, wouldn't it? Social change and progress takes place more quickly than you realize. So B, if you chose that for number 1, you would probably go to C. And then B, let's see. No, I just did that one. I'm sorry. I'm confusing you probably more than I'm helping you here. People, if you chose in number 1, C, people often don't realize the depth of their own prejudice. Maybe that one would be B. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes. All right, so match it up. Whatever you chose in 1, what quote lends itself for support for that theme? Number 3, how is the detail of the speaker being asked to eat in the kitchen important to the theme? A, it emphasizes the unfair treatment the speaker receives. B, it highlights the speaker's dissatisfaction with life in America. Did he say he was dissatisfied? Or does he have a more positive approach in thinking someday this isn't going to be the case, right? So think about that. C, it shows how unfriendly people are in America. Or D, it reveals how unaffected the speaker is by discrimination. So which of those details? How is the detail of the speaker being asked to eat in the kitchen important to the theme? And then number 4, how is the speaker affected when he is asked to eat in the kitchen? Is he embarrassed? Is he angered? Is he confident that things will change for the better? Or is he confused? I think that's probably the clearest one as far as having one set answer. So do your best with numbers 1 through 4. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out and email me, and I will help you through it, okay? Make sure if you have any late work, it is all finished, because I start conferences with your parents tomorrow night, and then I have them again on Thursday night. So I'm going to also be sending out email to parents tomorrow or today, later today probably, stating what you're missing and things like that, and having them, check PowerSchool to make sure you're up to date. So please, please, please get everything done that is outstanding so that your parents are able to see exactly where you are at this point of the quarter. All right, guys, have a great day.